American father, seeking revenge for his son, killed the perpetrator live on television. What heinous crime did this perpetrator commit to provoke such an extreme response from this father? The father was a U.S. war veteran named Gary Blauch. After leaving the military, he became a mechanical salesman in Louisiana. Due to issues in his marriage, he chose to divorce and live alone with his children. Among them, his most cherished was his lively and cheerful son, Jody. Gary put the most effort into raising Jody, and when Jody was 10 years old, he enrolled him in a martial arts academy to study Taekwondo. Jody's Taekwondo instructor was Jeff Doucette. Over time, Jody became Jeff's most prized student. Jody, drawn to his funny, strong, and charismatic coach, became very fond of him. The two quickly formed a deep friendship. However, this was the beginning of a nightmare. On February 19, 1984, Jeff kidnapped Jody and took him to a hotel in California. It wasn't until 10 days later that U.S. police managed to capture him when Jody was rescued. He didn't appear frightened when facing his parents. However, despite the joy of his parents, Jody's calm demeanor was unusually odd, seeing that his son had no visible injuries. Gary didn't think much of it and was immersed in the joy of his son's safe return. But when Gary received the hospital's test results, it was like a thunderbolt out of the blue. The report clearly showed sperm traces in Jody's rectal area, indicating that during the kidnapping, Jody had been sexually assaulted by the kidnapper. After further questioning, it was revealed that the abuse had lasted for a whole year. This was something Gary, who'd always pampered his son, couldn't possibly accept. In an instant, the father was overwhelmed with regret and rage, and a desire for revenge began to take root in his heart. Jeff was sentenced to 60 years in prison. However, the father, deeply driven by love for his son, had no intention of letting Jeff go. So, on March 16, he disguised himself and entered the courtroom. And when Jeff passed by, he shot him in the head. This entire event was broadcast live on television. After the incident, Gary was charged with second-degree murder, which could result in a 40-year sentence. However, his actions, driven by love for his son, were met with understanding and support from the American public. Many people viewed him as a hero and expressed sympathy for his actions. Under pressure from public opinion, Gary was sentenced to 7 years in prison, with 5 years of probation, given his good behavior. He ended up serving only a week in prison before being released. However, while everyone applauded this brave father, Jody, the person at the center of the story, spent several months criticizing and blaming his father. He believed that, although Coach Jeff had abused him, he had already suffered 60 years in prison. Jody didn't want Jeff to die, and he felt that his father's act of taking another's life was wrong.